Darts isn't a sport known for having many major scandals, and in 2017 it was even voted as the British sport with the most integrity in a ranking which football came bottom of. But that doesn't mean that every player that's ever picked up a dart has been well behaved away from the oche. Hello and welcome back to the Darts World channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at 3 of the biggest scammers in the sport's history. Ewa Janowicz is a Polish player who's played both steel and soft-tip darts competitively for many years. She's lived in Ireland for a number of years and began to work at a Tesco supermarket in Dublin, where in August of 2013 she alleged to a civil court that a metal cage which she was pulling got trapped against a ridge before falling on her. She said that after that she left work early because of pain in her back, right hand, arm and shoulder, and went to a medical clinic to get help. She then attended the same clinic 2 days later, still complaining of pain in her right hand and arm. She missed 2 weeks of work before going on a holiday to Poland in September, after which she returned to work for only a few days before going on sick leave for several weeks. She eventually sued Tesco Ireland Limited for negligence and was seeking compensation, but the company were arguing that it had been her fault. Both sides therefore had an argument in court, but there was one detail that swung the case. Evidence emerged showing that while back in Poland in September, just a few weeks after the so-called big accident, Ewa played in some big international soft-tip darts tournaments. She managed to finish joint 17th in the Women's Soft-Tip World Championship and 3rd in another tournament on the following day. While in Poland, she also managed to finish as a runner-up in a women's Master Out team competition representing Torun. Following those details coming out, the judge adjourned the case to allow talks between the two parties, with the case eventually being settled for an undisclosed sum, but the €7,000 of lost earnings she had been seeking were withdrawn. She's continued to play darts since then and was a quarter-finalist in the Irish Women's Singles Championship last year, where she was beaten 3-0 by two-time PDC Women's Series winner Robin Byrne. The next player we're going to take a look at is Bradley Phillips from Essex, who made a name for himself in the youth ranks, first in 2018 when he won 4 JDC titles, as well as the Boys England World Match Play, where the other champions on the weekend were Bo Greaves, Fallon Sherrick and Glenn Durrant. In the following year, he was a part of the England team that won the overalls and boys pairs titles at the WWF World Youth Cup in Romania, and he continued to do well on the JDC Tour, earning him a PDPA scholarship to play on the PDC Development Tour in 2020. At that point, he was signed by Mission Darts ahead of the season, but then he struggled to pick up results. He then went through a period of not playing much until the start of the 2021 Challenge Tour, when COVID-19 was still a big issue, and players had to use lateral flow tests to show that they were negative. The start of one of the events was delayed by 90 minutes due to a fire alarm, which forced the players to have to wait outside in the car park. The event eventually got underway, but another issue became apparent as more players than normal began to withdraw from their games. Brad Phillips was one of them. A few other players, including Conan Whitehead, Joe Davis and Scott Marsh, who had all won their first round games, also strangely withdrew. It was reported that a player had tested positive for COVID, leading to him and some contacts being removed from their games whilst they were ongoing, and it was rumoured online that Brad Phillips was the player. On the following morning, some shocking details were reported. It was stated that Phillips had known he was positive 2 days before the event, but that he was still practicing with another player at the time. Despite still testing positive on 2 tests he took on the day of the tournaments, Brad was still driven to the event by his father. He managed to enter the tournaments by submitting a negative test result that he had produced by tampering with a test and running tap water on it. Several Challenge Tour players stated that during the fire alarm, a friend of Brad's had boasted about the situation. Word of this got to the PDC, and they decided to remove Brad and the other players. The situation meant that Conan Whitehead was devastatingly forced to miss Champions Week at the Modus Super Series. Players were very angry at Brad, with many, including Richie Edhouse, calling for a fine and a ban. He was eventually found guilty of breaching the COVID policy by faking a test result, which led 3 PDC officials to become infected, and was given a ban of just over 3.5 years from the PDC, which actually expires in just a few days after this video goes live. He's continued to play locally in his time away from the PDC, and has been one of the top players in the Harlow and District Premier League over the past year. The final player we're going to take a look at is Adam Smith-Neale, an English player from Nuneaton, whose solid results at PDC School in 2011 earned him a tour card. He lost it by the end of 2012, but during that year, he managed to win a title on the PDC Development Tour. He tried to win his tour card back at Q School in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18, but was unsuccessful on every occasion. 2018 turned out to be a big year for him as he played in more BDO events and qualified for the prestigious World Masters, where he unexpectedly reached the final after starting in the first round and managed to beat BDO number 1 Glenn Durrant to win the title. Then at the start of 2020, just before the COVID lockdown period, he managed to win a Riley's qualifier for the UK Open. During the lockdown period, something shocking came out about Adam. He was exposed as having scammed many fans for money by taking money for items he didn't send, as well as borrowing money that he wouldn't pay back. Let's take a look at some examples. This Twitter user alleged that he was scammed out of £25 by Adam as he paid for 2 sets of darts, which were apparently lost in transit. Another user said he was scammed out of $300. This user claims he lent Smith-Neale money for a hotel, which he never repaid. This understandably made Adam a hated figure in the darts world, and when the sport returned after COVID, when he had a spell of success, picking up a Challenge Tour title, fans became angry and called on the PDC to ban him. Aside from a few Modus Super Series appearances in 2022, he didn't appear in many big events, but despite the lack of competitive action, he caused a big shock at the start of 2023, winning the final day of UKQ School to win a tour card back 10 years after he lost his first one. This angered fans, one of whom even set up a petition to get him banned from the PDC. It received over 150 signatures. At that time, Paul Nicholson said that in his time in the sport, he'd never known anyone as universally unpopular as Adam. He said he had a tarnished reputation, to put it mildly, but now had the opportunity to try and repair it. And well, that didn't go well at all, as in March of 2024, a video emerged of him punching an amateur player at a local open event in his hometown. Adam was eventually found guilty of assault and threatening behaviour and was banned by the DRA for 8 months, which expired in November of 2024. He lost his tour card at the end of last year and at Q School failed to win it back after only winning 4 games across the 4 days. Now, I want you to let me know what you think about these scams in the comment section down below, and if you're aware of any others from darts history. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel as it really helps out, and currently just 15% of you are. You can also hit the bell icon to turn on notifications if you want to get notified whenever I upload a brand new darts video. Please also like the video if you found it interesting, and you can comment down below if you have any interesting video ideas you'd like me to make.